Hey guys, Hamster Will here with a new video, and as you might know, the next raid that will be released is Blackwing Lair. And with that raid, there's a lot of very powerful and super sought after items that will drop there. Which means one thing is for sure. A couple of those items will definitely cause some drama in your guild and bring out the loot whore in almost everyone there. So, after I drew some inspiration from my last video where I talked about the loot systems in guilds, and watching some videos by Skarm Tank, great guy by the way, I figured it would be fun to go over the items that will drop there that will probably cause some drama in your raid. Alright, the first item I'm going to talk about is the Mantle of the Blackwing Cabal. Cloth shoulders that have 16 intellect, 12 stamina, and a massive 34 damage and healing. Now this item doesn't really do anything unique, nor does it have some insane proc, but what this item does have is a ton of spell damage. Matter of fact, it has so much spell damage that when Blackwing Lair is out, it will be the most powerful caster DPS shoulders in the game, for every single class that is out there. Think of mages, warlocks, and even things like shadow priests and balance druids will have their eyes set on this thing. Of course, that is one element that will make it a bit of a controversial item, but what these so-called meme specs can use as an argument is that at least with warlocks and mages, their tier 2 shoulders are pretty decent for damage, whereas a priest or a druid get almost nothing out of theirs. And this means that those people will probably try and use that as leeway to try and get a priority roll over these. Now I'm not saying they're right in saying so, I'm just saying that when really good gear drops, people will find literally any excuse to put themselves ahead of others in terms of loot priority. And this is definitely one item that might cause some drama if given to a certain person in your raid. Next up is another controversial and super sought after item, and that are the Gloves of Rapid Evolution. Now I know what you're thinking, but these gloves... I'm just kidding guys. The next item is the Life-Giving Gem, a warrior trinket that heals yourself for 15% of your maximum health and increases your maximum health by 15% for 20 seconds. Now back in vanilla, this used to be an item that was mostly used by warriors in PvP. I'm looking at you, Swifty. So this trinket still has a very PvP warrior priority feeling. But these days it's known to be a really good tanking trinket that will allow the tank to heal themselves in an emergency situation and offer them a bigger health pool for a short period of time to be able to eat more damage. And because of this, I would not be surprised at all that some DPS warrior in your guild that does a lot of PvP will throw a hissy fit if he wants this item and sees it going to a tank. The fact of the matter is though that a tank is much more important than a DPS and should have a priority because of that. But good luck explaining that to any PvP warrior who basically gets a giant hard-on when he sees this trinket dropping. And then we move on to a very powerful item, and that is the Rejuvenating Gem. This trinket offers you 66 extra healing done and 9 mana every 5 seconds. Now despite one healing class benefiting more off of crit, or one benefiting more off of spirit, or one off of MP5, you can rest assured that every single healer in your raid wants this. It doesn't matter if they're a druid, a shaman, priest or paladin, they all want this. And I don't blame them because it is a super powerful trinket. And it's very beneficial to each and every single healer class in the game. So trying to explain to your raid why, let's say, shaman should get priority over this over druids, well, it's going to create a lot of drama. And trying to narrow down the choice to just one person out of all the healers in your raid that is going to get that item is sure to cause a little bit of a ruckus, to say the least. Because, well, this item is so good that people in WoW basically see this as God's gift to healers. So yeah, if you're in a guild with loot council and this drops, I wish you the best of luck. Next up is another trinket, and this might be the biggest drama causer in your guild and puts fears into loot councils all over the world of Warcraft, which is Drake Fang Talisman, also dubbed Drama Fang Talisman for a good reason. This trinket gives you 56 attack power, 2% extra hit and 1% extra dodge. It goes without saying that this will be the most powerful trinket in the game for melees when Blackwing Lair is out. And well, for hunters too. But if a hunter dares bring up the fact that they should have a shot at this, they will probably unfriend every single melee in their guild in a matter of seconds. Which kind of shows just how sensitive things can get over this item. Another thing I want to bring up is that when I was still playing on Phoenix Warsong, a vanilla private server, I saw weekly pug raids for Blackwing Lair. You want to know what the one item was that was always reserved? Yep, Drake Fang Talisman. If you saw DFT reserved after someone in chat saying he's looking for more from Blackwing Lair, you knew what time it was. Anyway, because it's so damn good, it's really hard to try and reason why, let's say, rogues should get prio over warriors, or the other way around. And some people will even argue that it's good for tanks too. And, on top of that, it's also really good for feral DPS druids. And yes, that is a thing in Classic, and also very powerful if played right. If you don't believe me, just watch Shedothedruid. I'll put a link in the description below this video, so you can see feral DPS is not just a dumb meme spec. Anyway, it's an insanely good item, and really tricky to figure out which one person in your raid should get this, and because of that, this trinket just had to be on this list. Next item are the Chromatic Boots, which offer 20 strength, 20 agility, 19 stamina, and 1% chance to hit. Now the main reason these are a bit controversial is because of the new meta in tanking in Classic WoW. Back then it was all about prot warrior tanking and them just stacking a bunch of defense, shield block, etc. But now with Fury tanking, gear with hit rating and a lot of offensive stats are very sought after. Which means now all of a sudden the DPS warriors have more competition than before. And since tanks usually get more priority when it comes to loot, generally speaking, some Fury DPS warrior might throw a hissy fit over these, as these really are insanely good for any Fury DPS warrior, so the emotions might run a bit high when your guild is deciding to give this to a tank. I mean sure, the rank 12 PvP boots are a great alternative, but only if you're looking to get to rank 12, which 1, takes a lot of time, and 2, not all of your Fury DPS warriors are probably looking to do if they're also actively raiding. So yeah, had to put it in here, and get ready for some potential drama between DPS and tank warriors in your guild when it comes to this item. Next up we gotta talk about Locomir Ilromathis, a main hand mace with 18 intellect, 10 stamina, 8 spirit and a massive 84 damage and healing. The damage and healing is in fact so massive that even for healers this is a super sought after item. Luckily it's a mace, so your clothy casters are mostly not gonna care, though the occasional Shadow Priest might start a bit of a fuss about this, and rightfully so, since this is pretty much a best in slot item for them all the way until next Rammus, when they can get things like the End of Dreams. But this is mostly prioritized towards healers, as it's just too damn good. Here's the thing though, every single healer wants this damn item. We're talking about druids, shamans, paladins, and even priests. Now with priests they can at least get benediction, but the other classes? It's pretty much best in slot for them. And trying to explain why X class should get prio over the other classes is going to be really hard work and bound to start some drama in your guild when this drops. That, and it's usually shamans and paladins who get the favor over druids, because generally speaking they're better in terms of pure healing compared to druids. Which sucks, because if you're a druid yourself, it doesn't feel nice to be shoved to the sideline when it comes to this item. But based on having been in loot council guilds before, that's kind of what happens, and the chance of a druid or another healer starting a fight over this item is always present. Then we move on to Purster's Talisman of Carnivory, a necklace with 30 agility and 1% chance to hit. So another pretty crazy item. The two main classes that benefit the most off this item are hunters and rogues. And normally you tell hunters to get lost, because rogues do way more DPS. But rogues already get priority over things like Drake Fang Talisman, so it's only fair to kinda try and please the hunters in your raid by saying they should get this over rogues. But of course, try explaining that to several rogues in your guild that probably have their eyes set on this and see hunters as nothing but trank bots that do lackluster DPS. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a tough one to get through and bound to start some drama if this item drops. Next up are the Boots of the Shadowflame, which have 22 stamina, 44 attack power and a massive 2% chance to hit. So of course, it's only natural that rogues look at this item and want this really badly. And you can't blame them too much for it, as they're pretty damn good. However, feral druids should get priority over this because 1, they can benefit from tier sets, and 2, it offers a ton of armor, which means it's extremely effective for feral druids. So that sounds kinda logical, right? Well, the fact of the matter is that you're still going to have to tell rogues that they either can't roll on this or that they'll have less chance of winning over a feral druid. And no matter how well feral druids perform, they'll always have that meme spec stigma attached to them, which might make some rogues kinda salty and start drama over this item. Then we move on to the Pure Elementium band. A ring with 10 intellect, 9 stamina, 10 spirit and a massive 53 healing done. This ring kinda has the same problem like Lokamir Ilromathis, and that is that this ring is so damn good that it's really good for any healer regardless of your class. So it's going to be a nightmare to try and choose the right person out of all the healers in your raid, and that's why it's also kinda sensitive to drama, so definitely had to be on this list. Alright, and last but definitely not least, we got one more item to talk about. And it's a big one. An item that is a DPS caster's wet dream. And that is Neltharion Steer. Now this trinket is so damn good that it's going to be really hard to explain why one class should get priority over the other. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some arguments you can make. For instance, it's only fair that classes that barely get any hit from talents should get priority over classes that do. Meaning it would be kinda weird to prioritize a Shadow Priest over a Mage for this item. However, Warlocks get even less crit than the Mages, so technically Warlocks should get priority for this item. But considering how insanely good this item is for Mages as well, yeah, trying to explain that to them and expecting none of the Mages in your raid to have a problem with that is kinda wishful thinking. I mean, drama is bound to happen. This trinket is kind of on the same level of, oh my god, this item is insane, as the Rejuvenating Gem and the Drake Fang Talisman. So yeah, expect to definitely see some arguments over this item in raid. And there you go, 10 items that will probably cause drama in your guild. I hope it's clear to you just how insane the gear is that will drop in Blackwing Lair, and how it can turn some people from friendly guildies into total loot whores. Don't say I didn't warn you. And I wish all the loot councils in every guild the best of luck. You're gonna need it. And that's all for today. As always, I want to thank you for watching this video. I'm Hamster Wheel and have a good one.